Yes. We back, family. Tucker Carlson. There's a crisis coming. It seems like there's something coming because there's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. I don't even know what to say right now. Let's see what Tucker Carlson got to say.
If you heard about a country, let's just say Poland, under the Soviet occupation of 1971, and you were told that in Soviet-occupied Poland, there was no privacy whatsoever. There was not one place you could go where you were not surveilled by your government. Even in your own bedroom, people were listening to you. Even when you got in your car, your sanctuary, a machine began to lecture you, hector you like a neurotic girlfriend about wearing your seatbelt. Slow down. And if you didn't, the vehicle would take control away from you, exert autonomy, and strip you of yours, and just act in the way it decided best. You would have no privacy, and you would have no autonomy. If you heard about a place like that, you would say, well, that's the definition of totalitarian. But you would be
Amazon offers hourly employees health care for $5 a week with $5 copays.
Safety.
Should I go, Mom?
No, don't tell your mother anything.
describing America right now, before AI. So it takes a little bit of mental effort to get perspective on the world you live in and how far from the promise it is and how much it has changed, how totally unacceptable it is, how totally contrary to human thriving it is. It's no surprise, given those facts and many more like them, that SSRI usage is beyond belief. The suicide rate is unacceptable. People are miserable under our current system. That system is called liberal democracy. There are very few Americans who don't support liberal democracy, including me. I support liberal democracy. It's our birthright, liberal democracy. It's the greatest thing we have. Liberal meaning respecting of human rights, the rights with which we were born, and democracy meaning we own the system and we put our representatives in office by voting for them. We're in control. We're the shareholders here. Liberal democracy. But the truth is, our democracy is neither liberal nor democratic. It doesn't represent people and it doesn't acknowledge fundamental human rights. It bulldozes them. And everybody on some level knows this, which is to say it can't continue because nobody believes in it anymore. Some of us are hoping for a peaceful resolution to this crisis, but it is a crisis. When the government begins to actively harm the people it supposedly serves, it's reached the end. I mean, it may take a while to end, but it will end. Because that doesn't make any sense. It's intolerable. It would take a lot of technology to force people to obey a system like that. And even then, it couldn't go on forever. And this one won't. So as you think about this, it gets pretty dark pretty fast. The system you grew up with, the one you were taught to love, the one about which there was at one point a lot to love, is going away because it just doesn't work. And historians will debate why it didn't work in the end. Were the flaws inherent to it? Was it bad leadership? Was it the baby boomers? Who knows? Wiser heads will determine the answer. But in the meantime, it's enough to know that it can't continue. And that's one of the reasons that you're hearing an awful lot of dark muttering about revolution, violent and otherwise, on the internet. And everyone talking about that should remember what that actually looks like. Civil wars are the ugliest of wars, and they tend to go on for a very long time, and innocents die in huge numbers. So that is not an outcome that you want, if you can help it. But what are the options? Well, out of nowhere the other day, we saw somebody, a clip of a man in Britain, offering some measure of hope, not because the current system can continue, it can't, and it won't, but because there are options that are not based on hate and division and violence, that are instead based on decency and kindness. And in fact, we haven't always lived this way. Our current system is a fairly new invention. People didn't live this way 200 years ago. In fact, they couldn't imagine it. That man is a man called Frank Wright. Now, he was caught on camera by a reporter walking down the street in the UK, and the reporter asked him a question, how do you think Britain's going? How are things going? And he gave a pretty remarkable answer for a man on the street interview. Here's part of it.
So what does finished look like?
What does finished look like? Finished looks like an economic collapse. Finished looks like spending all your money on foreign wars when nothing works in the country. Finished looks like you can't get a job for being competent. There's no sanity even in recruitment. We have a competency crisis because for increasingly ideological and insane reasons, employment opportunities, even training opportunities are restricted. There's one news story after another about why, for political reasons, we're doing mad things that bankrupt the country, that basically park people's careers, that exclude talented people of genuine principle from any area of influence whatsoever. And taken collectively, this is the politics and economics of national suicide. So it has to stop.
So who is that guy, we thought? But we shouldn't have been that surprised, because if you're on social media, you've had similar experiences probably many times. You'll be reading something like Twitter or Instagram, and there's a lot of garbage and porn and lunacy and bots, and there's a lot of ugliness and pointlessness and time-wasting material. But in the middle of all of that, occasionally you'll run across somebody writing something beautiful and true and perfectly expressed, and you'll think to yourself, why haven't I heard of this person? And what is he doing posting on X at 2:30 on a Wednesday afternoon? Doesn't this guy have a job? And the answer is, he may not. Our system is so inimical, so hostile to inherent superiority, to honesty, to truth itself, but also to cleverness and creativity, that it has systematically excluded some of the brightest people in our country and in Britain from gainful employment. The man you just saw, Frank Wright, who you never have heard of. How do we know that? Because he doesn't have a job. That's why. That man should be in a leading position within the intellectual realm in Great Britain. He should be a noted public philosopher, obviously. And you will definitely think that after you hear the hour-long interview we just did with him, which we're going to play in just a moment.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
But he's not doing any of those things. Again, he's not really employed. Why? Because like a lot of people like him, he can't get a job. Not just because he's the wrong color and gender, which he is, not just because he's not gay, which he's not, but because he's honest and smart. And honest and smart people have a kind of irrepressible habit of questioning, why are we doing this? Of asking inconvenient questions. And people like that are not welcome in the oligarchy. Why would they be? They're troublemakers. They're disobedient. The problem is that when you take people like that out of a system, the system loses all creativity. The system loses the ability to continue itself, to make anything interesting, to have enlightened ideas, and in the end, even to be decent. It becomes a machine. And that's what ours has become. Things around the world are moving so fast right now, it's impossible to keep up with all of the changes. But we do know that when those changes happen, markets change too. And nothing changes faster than the price of precious metals, gold and silver. It just...
Shout out to Carlson for giving us this video. Definitely a crisis coming, guys. I mean, whether it's a technical crisis, we got so many changes going on right now. The distractions are there. It's just too much. If you dwell on it, your head will explode. You feel me? Stay prayed up. I mean, again, guys, you got the billionaires, trying to just put this big AI computer, like how they have big oil rigs. Now they got AI rigs in the middle of the ocean for cooling systems. They're going to start using the ocean as cooling systems for these big AI plants. Bro, it's so much going on, and that's just the AI side of things. Like, it's just a lot, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stay prayed up. Tucker Carlson, great podcast. Y'all make sure y'all go check out his podcast. Y'all get him in the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all feel about this, man, and some of the changes that y'all see out here that's going on. We got more reactions coming. Y'all make sure y'all get at me, man. Until then, we still on the front line, man. Till next time. Salute.